y'all? It is me back again. Second motovlog going on. I'm just taking a quick little cruise to work. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful overcast day out. Super hot and humid. I guess not really super hot. It's like mid-high 80s, something like that, but humidity is off the chain. If you live in Georgia, specifically North Georgia, you know it has been pouring down rain essentially all day, every day for the past like month and a half, it feels. Absolutely ridiculous. So with this heat and humidity, I've got my my helmet vents all opened up. I did turn on some wind noise reduction on the old DJI helmet cam. Not too sure if that impacts a wireless lav mic, but I guess we're gonna find out. Based on my last video though, it doesn't really sound like wind noise impacts inside the helmet too much. Wanted to give a quick talk while I'm riding, and kind of give a 1 month, 1.5 month, almost 2 month 1,500 mile review of this 2026 70th anniversary Yamaha R3. After my first vlog, I got a handful of comments of people who also have picked up R3s all in the past like few weeks. So seems like this is a pretty popular bike. A lot of first-time riders. I got a couple messages, a couple DMs on Instagram from folks just mentioning that they're learning how to ride and all this, all that, and I figured I would kind of give my unprofessional, unexperienced opinion on this bike. So if you know anything about me, I'm not necessarily a new rider. I think I've been riding for about 3 years, maybe 2 years. I want to say 3 years though. I don't have the exact number, but somewhere around then. I would still, personally call myself a beginner rider, but yeah, it's semantics. Who has the final say? Doesn't really matter. But I know my way around the bike. I know a thing or two about motorcycles, and I have also ridden many different kinds of motorcycles. I've ridden a couple of friends' bikes and this, that, and the other. I used to own a Honda Shadow 750. That was my very first motorcycle. Second bike was a Kawasaki Z500. I think that was a 2025. And I bought it in 24. So yeah, I would say I've been riding about 3 years, something like that. So 2026 Yamaha R3, 300 cylinder. Yes, it is technically a downgrade. I wouldn't even call it a downgrade. Definitely a downsize from my last two bikes. But to say it's a downsize entirely, from the Honda Shadow, yeah, that bike was a 750, but that's a V-twin. This is a parallel twin. Totally different, power band, totally different power delivery, totally different styles of riding. So I would not really compare the two. This would be a bit closer to compare to the Kawasaki Z500. So if you're watching this hoping to get some information on a Yamaha R3, maybe you're thinking about getting a Ninja 500 or Z500 or an MT-03 R3, this will probably be somewhat beneficial to you. So what do I like about the Yamaha R3? Compared to some other sport bikes, the seat is actually extremely comfortable. The riding position is very comfortable. I'm a big dude, so my lean can get a little bit rough, just because of how big I am. You know, my hands are pressured up on those handlebars pretty much constantly. Let's take this turn. I hate this turn. Given my size, I naturally, top of my body sits forward a good bit, so I've got a lot of weight on the handlebars. Yeah, after about 20-25 minutes or so, my wrists can get a little bit sore, my hands can get a little bit sore. If you're not a baby about it, it's not that big of a deal. I've gone on long rides with this. I've gone, you know, about an hour each way, non-stop on this bike. It is 100% doable. The riding position is aggressive, especially compared to the Kawasaki. Definitely the Z500, but the Ninja 500 is also a less aggressive riding position than this bike, in my opinion. This is all coming from a 6'5", 245-pound man. But yeah, this is great. Riding position's great. You look aggressive as hell on this bike. I get a ton of compliments based on how this thing looks. Overall, really great in the looks department, really great in the comfort department. Seat is plenty squishy. It's got a whole lot of squish to it. Feels like you're on a nice office chair, I would say. It's not a recliner like, you know, a cruiser seat would be, but I would compare it to a nice office chair. You don't want to be in it for hours at a time, but, you know, for the time that you need to sit in it, you're going to have a good time. My immediate comparison to this, because the Z500 also had an extremely comfortable seat. If we're talking strictly seat material, I recently checked out a BMW S1K. That seat was hard as a rock. It's a true super sport. They're not really built for comfort. The R3 is kind of a best of both worlds. Looks aggressive, feels aggressive, it rides aggressive. You can also, I mean, if I want to, I can sit up straight on this bike and I have no issues. I can go, you know, my whole commute riding that way. Let's talk engine and power. So like I mentioned, I used to have a Kawasaki Z500. That bike, although it says it's a 500, it's pretty well known. I think it's closer to a 450. Honestly, I think it's like a 430. You know, not terribly bigger than the R3, but it is a noticeable difference at my size. Once I get up to, I would say 85, 90 miles per hour on the R3, it really starts chugging. I mean, I'll have the throttle fully, you know, fully jammed open, and it just does the best that it can, which, you know, for me, that's really all I want or need out of this bike right now. So no big complaints, but I do wish that I could get a little bit more out of it. Of course, your mileage will vary. If you are somebody who's more in the optimal spec for the rider on this bike, think under 6 feet and under 200 pounds, I think the power on the R3 is more than enough. Z500 really just had that a little extra last leg that made it a little bit more enjoyable on the highway for me. But also that's, top speed, high speed riding, however you want to classify it. Not everybody's going to be doing that, and ultimately that is not what this bike is built for. This bike is built for, I would say, back roads, canyon carving, definitely track days, but dude, under 75 miles per hour, even at my size, this thing absolutely rips. It is so much fun. Way more aerodynamic than a naked bike, which was a huge issue that I had on my Z. I felt like I was just getting battered and beaten like a damn flag in the wind. I was getting thrown around. It really just was not that comfortable for me. This bike, I feel so comfortable, even against the wind. I can't really go full tuck just because of my size. I can get, down and out on it, and it does the trick. I never really need to do that. I don't ride in a way that requires that. It's not necessary for me. Again, your mileage will vary. If you're a smaller person than me, which odds are you are, you'll probably have a wonderful time on the R3. Power is more than enough for some fun, spirited back roads, driving, canyon carving, mountain roads. Not really the move if you're looking for a highway commuter bike. It can definitely do the job, but at the end of the day, that's just not really what it's built for. It really is just a ton of fun. I mean, I love this thing so much. The riding position is, wonderful even at my size. Power delivery is exactly what I need. Styling is phenomenal on it. You really just can't go wrong with it. I can comfortably say the R3 is one of, if not the best starter bikes out there. We'll kind of have to see. I guess Kawasaki is doing a Ninja 300. I think they got rid of the 400 for the 500. The 500 is actually a 400, and now they're bringing in a 300, which, is realistically going to be the new 250. So we'll have to kind of see as that comes out. One thing that I loved about the Kawasaki that the R3 just doesn't have is the I forgot their exact term for it, but it's the neutral finder switch. So when you're on the Kawasaki, if you are at a stop, you click up on your shifter and you are dropped straight into neutral. You cannot overshoot it. That is your option, and that is where you are going. That was so awesome. It was just such a quality of life upgrade on that bike, especially compared to the Shadow, which had what I would say was a pretty robust and clunky shifter. All that being said, though, I do not have any issues shifting this bike, even though it does not have the neutral finder. I have no issue shifting into neutral. Yeah, you do kind of have to think about it. You have to take your time with it a little bit, and Kawasaki was just mindless. You just click it and you're there. But if you know how to shift, after a year or whatever, you'll be good to go. You won't be missing neutral at all. It's not that hard. Fairly straightforward bike, fairly simple bike. The price on these is great. You could buy one, I think MSRP sits right above 5,000. Meanwhile, the Kawasaki options sit above 6,000 last I checked. So, if price is your if price is your determining factor, the R3 is definitely going to be the better bang for your buck. At about $1,000 cheaper. It comes stock with ABS, has the option for an OEM quick shifter upgrade. This is just an all-around fantastic bike. Now, I'm going to take you guys. This is one of my favorite little back roads. If you watch my no commentary POV videos, this is just a sweet little back road. Feels like a little racetrack coming up. Something that they just built. This road basically used to end at the second light coming up, and they built something like a 4-mile stretch going all the way from, again, if you're from Georgia or familiar with North Georgia, they built this stretch of the road from Cumming, like South Forsyth County, all the way to North Fulton, Alpharetta, and the entire road, it feels like a freaking racetrack, man. There is no traffic ever on it. There's no lights. There is nothing. It's all freshly paved. Arguably some of the best road I've ever been on. So, I feel like I've kind of yapped about this bike enough. One more thing that I guess I could touch on is maintenance on this bike. So you can see I'm at 1,400 miles. Recommended Yamaha break-in period, which seems to be about the default with every new bike, is 600 miles. So of course, if you follow the manual, they say, oh, limit your rev range up to 7,000 for the first 600 miles. Make sure you're fluctuating through the the limited band that you are setting for yourself. Me personally, I've broken in 3 bikes now. I do not necessarily believe in that. I believe break it in like you ride it. Maybe the first 200 miles, be a little nice, talk nice to it, but after those first 200 miles, as long as you're not banging off the limiter, if you're not redlining all the time, you are going to be cool as a cucumber. That's about what I did on this bike. I rode it first 300 miles maybe. I rode it pretty calm. Kept it under 8,000 RPMs. After that, I really was just banging out the rev range on this. Oil changes are super easy. You do your oil change after 600. Yamaha says you still need to limit your throttle usage after 600 up to 1,000. I think that is complete baloney, and my understanding is the purpose of that self-imposed limitation is for legal purposes. After you do your 600-mile oil change, just have fun with it. You'll be fine. Nothing is going to happen to it. If your engine did blow, especially between that 600 to 1,000 point, that's going to be a manufacturing defect and not an issue with your riding. For those who do not know, which I would expect is all or most of you, before I started doing cybersecurity work, I was a mechanic by trade. I was a gas line tech. I then moved on to working on diesels for Ford. I have rebuilt plenty of motors. I am very familiar with engine, building, engine break-in periods, engines in general. I think it's complete nonsense to limit yourself that much in the first, break-in period. Completely unnecessary in my eyes. Some people want to be more cautious, especially if it's your first bike. There's no, if you're not comfortable with it, don't push it. There's no reason, there's no reason to get out of your comfort zone, especially when you're new. But based on my personal experience, you will not run into any issues. So I'm going to go ahead and finish out this ride, pulling up on my weekend job here right after this light. So thank you guys for checking in. If you have any other R3 related questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. This was a very impromptu video, so I am 99.9% sure that there is a hell of a lot of stuff that I did not touch on or cover that I totally could have. Feel free to drop your questions in the comments below. I'll be sure to answer them. I try to respond to every comment. Not like I get a ton, but no ego over here. If you need help, have comments, concerns, I will let you know. Also, got this sick little Supreme flight tag the other week. I was looking to replace the Mountain Motorsports one that came on my key, and this just happened to drop like 2 weeks ago. Matches the bike perfectly. Anyway, y'all have a great day. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe if you like this video, want to see more R3, or just bike-related content in general. Y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.